Hey guys, welcome back to All Things Boss Pay podcast. I'm your host Lee, and I'm really excited to have in the studio today Susan Landers. She is in the medical field and just a really special person, very special guest. I'm really excited for you guys to meet her because she's going to be talking about a subject that I think we all can relate to very well, especially with coming from COVID, going into COVID. I think we can all relate to this very much. It's about burnout. And like I said, I think you guys are all like, yeah, this is a great topic. So, guys, if you want to help support the show, we have links in all attached to each episode of how you can help us, how you can support, how you can share. And we're also going to link in here Susan, her website, and how you guys can find her as well. So, she's an author, she's a speaker, she's got her own company going here, and is just a multi-faceted person, very fun to talk to. So, Susan, I'm really thankful that you took the time to be on the show today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's a privilege to be here. I love the podcast, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
I am too. I'm very excited about this. And I think, I kind of connected with you on the baby side of it because I have my own little one. And I think, that's an automatic connection. But then also, we kind of talked more about the burnout side and how you came from a medical field, which, wow, there is a lot of work that you guys have to go into, not just to get into the medical field. It's a very competitive, but you have to have, I mean, you can't just haphazard things, right? Nobody wants to know that you didn't get all A's in your class or that you didn't, you don't know, you perform surgeries okay every other day. They don't want to hear
Right.
that. They want to know that you're the top notch and all that stuff. And so it's a very eyes on you environment. So it's very difficult, very stressful. You guys work long hours. Now they've changed the shifts to 12-hour shifts, but before that, you guys had I mean, it was just crazy working doubles and things like that. And so I'm very interested to hear how you got into the field and what caused you to write this book and what caused you to, be an advocate for people with burnout. So I'll let you start out with that, Susan.
Oh, great. I got into medicine because I was very good at biology and chemistry. And I had a mentor. She was a medical record librarian who knew that I was studying biology, and I had taken an aptitude test at Auburn University where I went to undergraduate. And the aptitude test said that I should be a nurse, a social worker, or a PE teacher. And I told her that I thought that really sucked, that I didn't want to just be those things. I wanted to be something more. And she said, like what? And I said, well, I was kind of thinking of being a doctor. The next year, she helped me get a job in the operating room of the general hospital in the small town where I grew up in South Carolina. And I fell in love with medicine. And I got to see all the surgery. And oh, it was so much fun. The doctors found out that I was going to medical school. By then, I had been accepted. And so I went on to medical school in Charleston, South Carolina, beautiful place to live. But I wanted to leave the South. And so I went to Dallas, Texas for my pediatric residency. It was great. Parkland is so busy, and Dallas Children's was wonderful. And I really loved ICU. I loved the pediatric ICU and the NICU. And so I decided to go into neonatology. I moved to Houston where I did my neonatology fellowship and loved the specialty, but it was very difficult. We did 24-hour shifts. We did 30-hour shifts. We worked 7 days in a row all the time. It was hard. And back then we didn't have artificial surfactants. So lots of the tiny little preemie babies died. It was kind of rough back in the 80s when I first started. But I met my husband in Houston. We got married. We had 3 kids in about 7 years. And so I was confronted immediately with not only being a great doctor, great neonatologist, really competent, really skilled. I love to take care of sick babies. But I had 3 kids at home, and I had to figure out how to be flexible and adjust my schedule and be at home whenever I could be and not bring my work home with me and all the things that working moms deal with. I had to, over the first 7 to 10 years, learn to be a good enough mother. I knew that I was at work a lot, and I thought that was okay because it made me happy, and my husband thought it was okay. So when I was home, I tried to be with my children as much as possible. We were fortunate that we could afford a nanny, and so she and I did a lot of carpooling back and forth. But I felt like what I was doing was spending really quality time with my kids, even though I was gone quite a bit. My husband got a great job offer, and we left Houston, Texas to go to Little Rock, Arkansas, another great children's hospital, Arkansas Children's Hospital. He had a great job there. He was very happy, but I was not happy. It was not a good fit for me. And so I ended up kind of making a pivot, and I worked as a medical director for an HMO. Go figure. And that's pretty interesting. It was really easy. It was 9 to 5. It was reviewing charts and going to executive meetings and doing some training as a physician executive. And I thought, well, maybe I want to do this. But it just didn't feel right. It felt kind of like I was working for the enemy. I hate to say that, but that's really kind of what it felt like because you were always telling people no.
Yeah.
So we decided to move to Austin, Texas, where we lived for the next 25 years in private practice. My husband started a specialty group that grew from 5 doctors to 37 doctors. I joined a group of all male neonatologists. Some had been my friends in Houston. And that was really a great thing because I was the first woman in their group. And I got to bring up the issues of, start times. Let's start at 8 o'clock, not 7 o'clock. I
Mm.
want to put my kids on the bus.
Yeah.
They were all married to stay at home moms, and they didn't even think about that.
Wow.
We were talking about scheduling vacations and said, hey, I have to schedule a vacation with my husband, and we both have schedules. And they went, oh, yeah. And so, and then I would leave to go see things at the school. You know what moms do? We go to the tea, we go to the play, we go to the parent teacher conference. And they were going, what? And I said, your wives have done all this stuff for you, but I'm the mom. I want to do this stuff. And they kind of slowly learned to be a family friendly practice. And after me, they hired several more women neonatologists. And the practice grew and grew. And I worked there for 26 years. I loved it. I loved practicing neonatology, talking to NICU moms, working with high risk OBs. It was just a great challenge and very satisfying.
That's
But
amazing.
at the very end of my career, I think it kind of snuck up on me. I became very physically exhausted and kind of emotionally overwhelmed, and a couple of ethical cases really bothered me. And I was talking with one of my partners, and I said, this is just horrible. I just wish this father would just do what we want. And it's a little baby that had terrible brain injury. And my partner looked at me and he said, have you lost your compassion? And I went, oh my God, have I? I mean, it was it was such a telling moment for him to say, you've changed. I had um, separated myself from my coworkers. I didn't talk as much to the nurses or the parents like I used to. I was very unhappy, and I felt like I was no longer making a difference. I was totally burned out. And I recognized this, and I got help. I got psychotherapy, which was very helpful. And my practice allowed me to change my schedule and work part time and go to a nursery where I just took care of normal newborns and attended deliveries. And I learned how to take care of myself. and I learned how to heal from my burnout. And that experience taught me so much. I had always been a strong physician and a strong mother. And to actually go through the process of burnout, like so many of our healthcare providers did during the pandemic, that was a huge wake up call to me. It said, you think you can do everything, but you cannot do everything. There are some things that are too weighty. There's some work that's just too much, too heavy, too many hours, too much stress. And I thought about that process. I retired a few years later, and I wanted to write about that process and all the things that I had learned being a mom, a working mom. So, what I did was told stories from the NICU, favorite babies, favorite parents, parents who were courageous and inspiring, people that I took care of their baby every day for 6 months. And I also told stories of my own motherhood challenges and how I worked things out and how I had to learn how to ask my husband for help, all the normal things that working mothers do. And so I wrote the book in an effort to reassure other working moms because I had decided by then that we all struggle with the same things. The name of my book is So Many Babies, and I know you're going to put my website and how to get my book up with this podcast info, but I would love for people to read it because nurses and doctors who have read it tell me, wow, if a skilled physician, a critical care doctor can go through burnout, can learn to heal themselves, can write about all the challenges that they have, and still come out on the other side, well, so can I. And a lot of people have found my book to be very reassuring. And I'm going to send you a copy. I haven't sent you a copy yet. I need to get your address and mail you a copy. So that's the story about my career in a nutshell and about why I wrote the book. What I'm doing now is speaking to groups about working mother burnout, which is a little different from healthcare burnout, but very similar. And I am active on social media and I am writing a blog and I have a newsletter, all those things that I have put myself out there to help other working mothers and especially other healthcare providers.
That's amazing. And I was looking at everything that you're doing, and it's amazing because, like, wow, I mean, this is so many things that you're doing, and you've got such a passion for people. And the fact, going back to your story and the fact that you realized where you had gotten to, and that you're willing to ask for help to connect again because a lot of people don't. They just keep going and it gets so bad that there's a lot of times
Right.
there's nothing you can do about it. And I think that's just, I mean, that's high praise and major, kudos to you because you did that step and you are so now passionate because of all of
Yes.
that and what you've
Yeah.
gone through that you can do all these. I mean, you're speaking engagements, writing a book. I mean, all of that's very time consuming and it's a lot of work and it's a lot of mental effort too. And you're very proactive. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. You get more done, than I think a lot of people do. So I just
Yeah.
it's high praise. You're
Not really. Thanks.
fantastic.
I am a little worried about modern working moms. I think that we've gotten into this, well, not totally helicopter mom, but we've gotten into this position of being so involved with our children and wanting to
Mhm.
be perfect and wanting to do everything right. Our
Yes.
parenting has to be right. And we also mostly have jobs. Most of us are
Yes.
working mothers. And of course, we want to do a good job. I mean, icing on the cake is that you love your job and you
Mhm.
want to do a good job. But at the very least, most people who work want to make a contribution. They want to make a difference. And we all share that. Well, that is not compatible with being a good mother. Being a good mother requires that you attend to your children. And if you're a working mom, that means your attention is divided. And I think it's really hard for young women to figure out that it is okay to be at work as long as your children are not sick and they're well cared for, or they're in school or whatever, that you can give yourself to your work and then leave it at the door, hopefully, go home and attend to your family. When you feel like you cannot do that, that's when we get in a rut. That's when we get stressed. That's when we get susceptible to burnout. If we're not sleeping well, if we come home from work and we're stressed and we want to drink a glass of wine every single night, if we start fussing at our kids, if we start yelling at our kids. I remember I did that every now and then when I was exhausted and I was going, what am I doing? They didn't do anything. I'm just tired. If we yell at our kids, if we yell at our husband, if we're not interested in sex, if we're not talking to our friends about what's going on, all of those things are red flags for working moms to know that they're in a little deep. Maybe they don't even enjoy being a mom. Maybe they have a difficult child. Maybe they have a special needs child. And with work, and we've all been through the pandemic and all that stress, maybe it's just too much right now. I want working mothers to know that it is okay to take care of themselves. I learned the hard way, and I think they can be smart and learn on the front end that self-care is really important. Sleep hygiene, exercise, routine exercise is really, really important. Man, my mood would have been horrible if I didn't exercise all throughout my adulthood. I also really liked connecting with my friends. When I was burned out, I told you I got psychotherapy, but the other thing I did was I called a friend and I had lunch with a friend one day a week, and we talked about what was going on, and we commiserated together, and we shared our struggles, and it felt so wonderful because it was a connection. It was like, oh yeah, me too, I feel the same way, and we could bounce ideas off of each other. The other thing I did was play the piano, and I'm not a good piano player, but I'll tell you, just trying to play the notes and play the music took my mind away from stress and work and helped me kind of engage my right brain. My left brain got kind of shut down and relaxed, and my right brain then gave me some respite. Trying to play piano music, trying to take lessons, that helped me. So we know that hobbies help. We know that doing something different from your work, like playing an instrument or listening to music, helps. We know that walking in nature is a huge stress buster. If people get outside, and when you get home from work, get the kids outside with you, walk around the block, go to the park. Those kind of things make us feel less stressed, more at ease. We have fun, we laugh, and those are the things that keep us from getting burned out. So when I say self-care, I mean the whole gamut. Finding joy, exercising, better sleep, playing with your kids, getting outside in nature, taking walks, sitting down and talking with your friends and with your husband. When I was burned out, I kept myself walled off from my friends and my husband, which made it worse. So I think we know a lot about what causes burnout now. And I'm here to tell you we know a whole lot about how to prevent it, how to take care of ourselves, and how to prevent it.
It's amazing. I
Mhm.
love your care tips. That's we know how to diagnose it, but how do we take care of it? And I think, going back to what you're talking about with every parent now is almost not just a parent, but they work full time or they have a
Mhm.
job. And we because of divorces are so high, and a
Mm.
lot of these people and parents are single parents too, and so they have to do that responsibility, and it adds that stress on, because you
Mm.
do divide yourself between, "Okay, how do I be the mom to this kid that I'm supposed to, my child who needs me, who needs to be nurtured and loved, and then how do I show up for work if my little girl or my little boy is having a rough day? Or,
Mm.
how do I balance that work-life balance thing?" And I think it's become something that's it's very needed to learn how
Yes.
to take care of that
Well,
because it's
single parents, I think single mothers especially are saints because you have to learn to call on other people for help, whether
yeah,
it's your friend, your neighbor, your mom, your mother-in-law. You cannot do everything yourself.
yeah,
And people who are married, one of the best pieces of advice I give young mothers is learn how to ask your husband to help you.
yeah.
Learn how to tell him what you want him to do. Write it down. My husband would go, "What do you mean? You want me to help with the party?" I'm going, "Yeah, I want you to buy this, and this, and come back and help me set up." And
Mhm.
he said, "Okay, fine." And they're willing to help, but we think they can read our minds.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
And so we have to, whether we're a single mom or married, we have to learn to ask for help. We
Yes.
have to learn to tell other people what we need when we need it. And I think it's okay to say, "Man, I am just fried to a crisp. I just need to settle down. And could you watch my kids and let me just get out and go take a walk, or let me just go have lunch or dinner with a friend." We've got to recognize that taking care of ourselves is the lifeline.
That's so true. It is the lifeline. It's so true. I appreciate you talking about all of this, Sharon and Susan. And I hope you guys can get out there and find her book. You guys can get this Barnes and Nobles. It's called So Many Babies. It's a really cute book. Susan, tell us a little bit about your why you created this book, and what people can hope to find with this book and the little message that's in that.
Yeah, I created the book to tell a story of a working mom who learned how to do things more effectively in my work and as a mother. I talk about learning that I was a good enough mother. And I think that means that you love your kids and you want to be with them, but you don't want to be with them 24/7. You
Right.
want to work as well, and working is good for you and it leaves you feeling fulfilled. And that's a good thing. And so, good enough mothers are mothers who recognize that they feel better about being a mom because they're also a good worker, whether it's a lawyer, or a doctor, or a nurse, or an architect, or any kind of professional, any kind of woman that has a career generally likes her career and wants to do a good job. And it is okay to want that. And then when you're at home, you want to be a good enough mother. And that's the way to look at it. You're not a perfect mother. Many of us are gone too much to be a perfect mother. Sometimes we're stressed and we have to learn how to take care of our stress and take care of ourselves. But learning to be a good enough mother is such an important lesson. And the main message in my book is that even though I saw so many babies in my career and I took care of three of my own, I had to learn how to be a good enough mother. And I wrote stories that would be reassuring to other young mothers, that would help them know that what they're feeling is a pretty common struggle. All working mothers have similar struggles. I think single moms work a little bit harder. They have it a little bit tougher. But I wanted my book to tell my story in a way that helped other working moms, because I've always thought that I was so privileged to be a doctor, and I was so privileged to have three normal kids. I mean, I had a very abnormal pregnancy with my first one, but everything worked out fine. And all of my stories, I hope, tell people that no matter what we're confronted with, we can come out on the other side having done it well. And I want my book to help them think, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's really wonderful when somebody has that role model to be able to, say, hey, they made it. I can do it too. This is great. And you've done so many things and been a mom and have so many experiences and done so many things to help other people that, you're a huge role model. So I think that's absolutely something that people you will want to go check out her book. You can find it, like I said, at Barnes and Nobles. It's called So Many Babies. You can find it on her website, which is susanlandersmd.com. So definitely go check that out. You can find out speaking engagements, learn so much about how you can help yourself keep from getting burnt out, and so you can be the best you can to others. Oh, go ahead,
I
Susan.
have a checklist for working moms. It's
Oh, awesome.
simple, it's quick and easy. It's only 21 items. If you go to susanlandersmd.com/burnout, it will take you to my checklist, which is a free download. And I think a lot of working moms that have used it have said, well, I came out okay, or I came out only stressed. A couple of them emailed me and said, oh my God, I'm so burned out. I got to get some help. So check out my checklist. It's free.
Oh, that's awesome. Let me pop that up here really quick. Yeah, that's important to have, an actual checklist is always nice to know, what do your symptoms. I think WebMD is one of the most searched websites about, your symptoms and things like that. We all like checklists. So this is a checklist, guys. You guys can go and check it out. So go to her website, susanlandersmd.com/burnout, and you can find this. And this is going to be extremely helpful. So thank you so much, Susan, for sharing. And if you have anything that you'd like to share before we end for the day, besides the checklist, uh, please feel free to share.
I want working mothers to realize that what they're doing is difficult,
Hmm.
and that it is not easy to be in two places at once. We try to do so many different things, and we usually pull it off pretty well. But working moms need to feel like they are accomplishing so much, because they are. They're being mothers and they're doing all the things about the household and childcare and school and teachers. And they're also holding down a job, some full-time careers. And that is not an easy thing to do. I want working mothers to give themselves a pat on the back, because what they're doing takes a lot of grit.
Wow. Thank you so much. I think everybody is probably just who's listening to this right now. I know this is connected with you. I was connected with me. And I'm just basking in this and feeling of, yes, it's sometimes really nice to hear that from somebody else. So thank you so much, Susan, for being here and for sharing all this wonderful wisdom with us. Guys, go check out her website, susanlandersmd.com. You can do slash burnout to do that checklist and find her book on there. I mean, there's so many wonderful resources. So definitely go check it out and say hi to Susan. You can follow her on social media as well. And I had that pop up here at the bottom. And thanks, guys, so much for tuning in today. It's been a pleasure. And I hope to see you guys back here next time on All Things Boss Babe podcast. Take care.
Thank you.